Have you ever really looked at the Manhattan skyline and just wondered how? How is all of that even standing on such a tiny island? Well, the secret, it's not just about steel and ambition. It's actually a geological jackpot, and it's buried right under the sidewalk. So let's dig in. And really, this quote gets to the heart of the whole story. You see, most cities, they're in this constant, super expensive battle just to keep from sinking. But Manhattan got really lucky. It has a secret weapon that makes building these absolute giants seem almost, well, easy.
So to really get why New York is so special, we gotta look at the huge problem that pretty much every other megacity on the planet has to deal with. And that problem? It's the ground they're standing on.
Yeah, this is basically the default setting. Think about it. A lot of major cities are built on coastlines or near rivers, right? Well, that means their foundations are nothing but loose sand and super soft mud. It's kind of like trying to build a sandcastle, except your sandcastle weighs millions of tons. Not exactly a recipe for success.
And get this, for the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, they dug down 140 meters. 140. That is almost a 50-story building underground, and they still hadn't hit anything solid to build on. Can you imagine? For an engineer, that is the absolute nightmare scenario.
So what do you do when there's no solid floor? Well, you pretty much have to make one yourself. It's this total brute force solution. You just drive hundreds of these super long piles deep into the ground. And the wild part is, the building isn't even held up by a solid base. It's held up by the friction of all those piles gripping the shaky soil around them. It's just a constant, grinding fight against gravity.
Okay, but Manhattan. Manhattan is the complete opposite of all that. It doesn't have to fight the ground it's built on. No, for New York, the ground is its single greatest asset.
And this, right here, is the hero of our story. It's called Manhattan schist. It's this ridiculously strong type of rock that was forged by insane heat and pressure, like way deep inside the earth. So, instead of that soft mud or sand we were talking about, Manhattan has this ancient solid stone floor just sitting there. It's basically the perfect pre-made foundation, ready to go.
Now, to really appreciate just how amazing this bedrock is, just think about the sheer scale of the Empire State Building for a second. We're talking about more than 365,000 tons of steel, stone, and concrete. I mean, that is just an unimaginable amount of weight, all pressing down on one single spot. Okay, so knowing what we just learned about places like Dubai, what would you guess? How deep did they have to go for this one? 100 meters? Maybe 150? How deep do you think they had to dig to support this absolute monster of a building?
Ready for this? 17 meters. That's it. Just 17. In some spots, it was even less than that. They basically just had to scrape off the top layer of dirt to find a stone floor strong enough to hold one of the heaviest buildings ever made at the time. I'm telling you, this is Manhattan's geological superpower.
I mean, that contrast just shows the massive advantage New York has. So let's put these two completely different approaches right next to each other.
So on one side, you've got this beautiful, elegant simplicity. You just find the rock, pour some concrete, and start building up. That's Manhattan. On the other side, it's a massive, super complex, and incredibly expensive underground war just driving a whole forest of these piles deep into the earth to stop the building from literally sinking.
You want a perfect example of that contrast? Just look at San Francisco. The iconic ferry building there was built on 55 meters of what engineers basically call sinking sand. It's this soupy, semi-fluid bay mud that offers like zero support. So how did they do it? 5,000 wooden piles. They had to drive 5,000 of them into the bay mud just to create a platform that wouldn't sink. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant piece of engineering, but it just goes to show you the insane amount of effort you need when you don't have that solid stone floor just handed to you. And here's the really critical part. Building on soft soil isn't just about the whole thing sinking. The real danger is that it sinks unevenly. It's a thing called differential settlement, and it is bad news. It can literally twist and tear a building apart from the stress. It's a constant threat for any structure built on piles. But on Manhattan's bedrock? Nope. The problem is just gone. The entire building rests on one solid, unmoving platform. Problem solved.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, when you start to connect all the dots, you realize something pretty amazing. The true architect of the New York skyline, it wasn't a person. It was the ground itself.
Think about it. The bedrock made the foundations simple, it made them safe, and it made them way cheaper. It took all the biggest risks and headaches of building tall right off the table. And that unique combo is what allowed developers to not just build one skyscraper, but to pack them in right next to each other, creating that incredible density we see today.
You know, without this solid stone floor, the entire history of modern architecture would be completely different. That whole race to the sky, the very idea of a dense vertical city, it all started right here. And why? Because the geology made it possible.
So the next time you see that iconic skyline, I want you to remember what you can't see. Remember that New York's incredible height isn't just a triumph of human ambition. It's really a gift from the ancient solid crust lying just a few feet beneath the sidewalk. It's the invisible foundation that made the impossible possible.